So, if you're in the world of finance or management, you've probably seen AI do some pretty incredible things. It almost feels like magic. But what if I told you that all that magic is really a massive, multi-billion-dollar global infrastructure project? Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and look at the real engine behind AI and what it really means for the future of your business.
Okay, so picture this. You type your question into Chatgpt. You hit enter. And in that little pause, before the answer starts typing out, something pretty mind-boggling kicks off. What is actually going on in those few seconds? That's exactly what we're going to unpack.
Yeah, it feels seamless. And that's the whole point, right? But what you're actually talking to isn't just some magical cloud of thought. It's a colossal, physical, and incredibly powerful global infrastructure. And look, for anyone in a leadership role, understanding this infrastructure is absolutely crucial for making smart, strategic decisions down the line.
All right, let's start with the part we all know and see. That simple little chat window. Doesn't matter if it's ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini. That's just the very, very top of a huge iceberg. Think of it as the friendly front door to something, well, something way, way bigger.
And here's the first big misconception we need to clear up. Your computer, your laptop, it's not running the AI. It doesn't have anywhere near enough power. Your device is really just a simple terminal. It's like a walkie-talkie. It sends your question out, and it receives the answer back. All the heavy lifting, the real thinking, that's happening somewhere else completely.
So if your computer isn't doing the work, what is? Let's peel back another layer and get to the core of this thing, the large language model, or what you'll hear called an LLM. This is the digital brain that's actually processing your request. So what is a large language model? Well, the name is actually pretty descriptive. It's a massive software model that's been trained on just a mind-blowing amount of data. Text from the internet, books, articles, you name it. All that training lets it spot patterns, understand context, and generate these incredibly human-like responses.
And when we say large, we are not kidding. A top-tier model like GPT-4 has hundreds of billions of what are called parameters. The best way to think about these is like billions, with a B, of tiny little knobs or switches inside the model's brain. Each one helps it figure out a tiny piece of language or relationship between ideas. It's that sheer number of knobs that gives it its power. To put that size into perspective, just look at this comparison. Your laptop, it might be able to hold a few full-length movies. A single one of these large language models can take up the storage space of thousands of movies. There's just no way that's going to fit on your laptop, right? It needs a special home. So, where do you put a brain that big? Well, not in an office building. They live in what are basically giant AI factories, but you and I would call them data centers. Now, inside these factories, you're not going to find the same kind of processor that's in your computer. Instead of CPUs, which are like a specialist that's really good at one complex thing at a time, these data centers are packed with thousands of GPUs. And as you can see, a GPU is more like an army. It can handle thousands of simpler math problems all at the same time. And that ability to do thousands of things at once, that parallel processing, that's the real secret sauce behind AI. So you start to see why you need a dedicated AI factory, right? You've got these insane memory and storage needs. You need thousands of those GPUs all working together. They generate a ton of heat, so you need crazy advanced cooling systems. And the whole thing has to run 24/7 without a hitch. Okay, so you might be thinking, who is building all of these multi-billion-dollar AI factories? For most companies, the answer is they don't have to. And this brings us to the business model that makes all of this possible for everyone. The cloud. Well, the biggest players in the game are the ones you'd expect: Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. These companies have built a global network of these AI-ready data centers. You can literally think of them as the power grid for the entire AI industry. They provide all the raw computing power you could ever need on demand. And for anyone in finance, here's where it gets really interesting. Building one of these facilities is a massive, and I mean massive, capital expenditure. But the cloud brilliantly flips that into a much more manageable operating expense. Instead of buying your own supercomputer, you just rent access to one, paying only for what you use when you use it. Let's make this real with a practical example. Imagine you're in your accounting software and you see a new button that says, "Summarize this financial report." You click it. Behind the scenes, your software securely sends that report up to an LLM running on, let's say, Microsoft Azure. Thousands of GPUs crunch the numbers, generate a perfect summary, and bam, it pops right back into your software. The AI just becomes this invisible, super powerful feature inside the tools you already use every day. Okay, let's tie all of this together. We've talked about huge models, massive data centers, and this enormous cloud network. So why is all this scale so important? Because here's the thing about AI, scale is almost everything. Generally speaking, bigger models, trained on more data, with more computing power behind them, are just smarter and more capable. But, and this is a big but, bigger isn't always what you need. This table explains it really well. You've got your massive frontier models, the cargo ships. They can do almost anything, but they're expensive to run. Then you have specialized models, which are like a skilled technician. They know one field, like finance, inside and out. And finally, you have compact models, kind of like delivery drones. They're small, fast, perfect for simple jobs, and can sometimes even run right on your phone. And that's the real key takeaway here. Building one of those cargo ship models, that's not just a software project. It is a full-blown global infrastructure project. It takes billions in hardware, massive amounts of energy, and the best talent in the world. And that's exactly why only a handful of companies like OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic are able to build them. They create the models, and the cloud providers deliver that power to the rest of us. And all of this brings us to one final, really important thought. The AI intelligence we get through a simple chat window is 100% dependent on this huge physical infrastructure. It poses a huge strategic question that every business leader needs to be asking. As AI becomes as essential as electricity, who is going to own and control the power plants of this new age? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.